Hey everyone, today we're sitting quietly in the morning light, brushing warm lotion onto our hands, while a soft breeze dances through the curtains and the scent of chamomile tea fills the room. You let your shoulders drop. The world hasn't begun tugging on you yet, it's just you, your breath, and this small, tender moment. And maybe growing older isn't about fading, maybe it's just becoming softer in a world that always asked you to be hard. So before you get too comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you truly enjoy what we do here at Golden Beauty. Let me know your age or just say hi and tell me your favorite self-care ritual these days. Now take a deep breath, maybe put on your coziest robe, and let's begin today's reflection. You wake up with the sunlight peeking through the curtains, warming your cheek before you even open your eyes. And instead of reaching for your phone or thinking about everything that needs to be done, you pause. You let the morning greet you. The happiest women over 70. I've known don't start their day in a rush, they begin with a rhythm. Something small, something sacred. A few moments just for themselves before the world asks anything of them. Maybe it's stretching your arms and saying a quiet thank you for another day. Maybe it's lighting a candle or whispering a prayer, or simply holding a warm mug of tea in your hands as the birds sing outside. There's no rule. It's not about perfection, it's about presence. Why does this matter? Because the way you begin your day shapes how you carry it. A gentle morning ritual creates emotional safety. It tells your nervous system you are cared for. And when your heart begins the day in calm rather than chaos, you are more likely to meet the world with grace. You've earned this softness. After decades of caregiving, working, adapting, proving you get to have a beginning that centers you. Even 5 minutes of stillness before the noise begins can be the difference between a scattered day and a grounded one. Try this tomorrow before you do anything else. Place your hand over your chest and take one deep, full breath. That's all. One breath, one quiet moment. A soft hello to the woman you've become. You step outside in the early morning barefoot on the porch if the weather allows. The air is cool and kind against your skin, and for a few moments, you do nothing but breathe. No rushing, no planning, just air and presence. Happy women over 70 don't wait for perfect weather or grand adventures to enjoy nature. They understand that fresh air is not a luxury, it's a form of medicine. Even a few minutes outside each day can work quiet wonders. You might sit with a cup of tea beside your garden watching the bees move from blossom to blossom. Or you might open the window and lean out, letting the morning breeze touch your cheeks like an old friend. It's not about distance. It's about remembering that the world is still turning and you are still a part of it. Science supports what your soul already knows. Natural light boosts serotonin, strengthens immunity, and lifts your mood. Just 15 minutes outdoors can shift your entire energy. The sunlight, the sky, the soft hum of birdsong. They are quiet affirmations that life continues, and so do you. I like to think of each morning outside as a tiny reunion with the world. No noise, no pressure, just you and the sky breathing together. A reminder that beauty hasn't gone anywhere, it's been waiting for you all along. And when you let the fresh air in, it does something gentle to the heart. You feel a little more awake, a little more open, a little more you. So tomorrow, before you pour another cup of coffee or make that to-do list, step outside or at least open the window. Let the wind carry something away. Let the light carry something in. You know that feeling when something small catches your attention and suddenly your mind feels bright again? Maybe it's a new flower blooming in your neighbor's yard, or a question that pops into your head while reading the newspaper. That spark, that's curiosity, and it's one of the quiet superpowers of joyful women over 70. The happiest women I know never stop learning. They don't treat aging as the end of exploration, but the beginning of a gentler kind of discovery. They ask questions. They stay interested. They wonder. You don't need to enroll in a course or memorize poetry unless you want to. Maybe you ask your grandson how to send a voice note, or you read about a country you've never visited. Maybe you watch a video on painting or try a new recipe just because it sounds fun. Curiosity isn't about becoming an expert, it's about staying awake to life. There's beauty in asking, "What's this?" or "I wonder why." It keeps your mind flexible like a willow that bends with the breeze. And studies show that lifelong learning strengthens memory, reduces stress, and improves emotional well-being. The brain is like a garden. The more you tend to it, the more it blooms. I remember the first time I tried watercolor painting at 73. My hands shook a little. The lines weren't perfect, but something opened in me, a joy I hadn't felt in years. I wasn't doing it to be good at it. I was doing it because it made me feel alive. So today, ask yourself, what am I curious about? Maybe it's something practical. Maybe it's something silly. But follow that thread. Let it lead you somewhere new. Because curiosity doesn't just keep you young, it keeps you connected to others, to yourself, to the ever-changing beauty of life. You stand in front of your closet sunlight catching the edge of your mirror. It's not about picking the most fashionable outfit. It's about asking, how do I want to feel today? Cozy, graceful, joyful. That one small question changes everything. The happiest women over 70 I've known don't get dressed for others. They do it for themselves as an act of quiet dignity. Even if the day is quiet. Even if no one sees them but the birds and the mailman. Because dressing with intention isn't about impressing, it's about honoring your presence. Maybe it's your soft cardigan that still smells faintly of lavender. Maybe it's the pearl earrings you wear on Sundays, even if church is now on a screen. Maybe it's a floral blouse that lifts your spirit, or simply your most comfortable house dress paired with fresh lipstick. What you wear speaks to your inner self. You matter today. Psychology calls this enclothed cognition, the idea that clothing influences not just how others see you, but how you feel and carry yourself. When you wear something that feels lovely, you walk differently. You move with a little more softness, a little more confidence. You don't need a big wardrobe. You don't need anything new. You just need to choose with care. Think of each piece of clothing as a gentle reminder of the woman you are. Still vibrant, still radiant, still worthy of beauty. Some days I choose color on purpose, a coral scarf when I'm feeling low, or my favorite brooch on an ordinary Tuesday. These little choices lift me not because they change how I look, but because they change how I feel. So tomorrow morning, pause before you dress. Choose something that whispers back to you. Today matters. You matter. Because when we dress with intention, we begin to live that way too. You pick up the phone to call a friend, and for a moment you catch yourself. The ache in your knees, the strange noise your heater is making, the state of the world. It's all right there on the tip of your tongue. But then you remember joy begins with attention. So instead you talk about the daffodils blooming early this year, about the robin that visited your windowsill, about something that made you smile. The happiest women over 70 don't pretend life is perfect. They don't ignore aches or grief or worry, but they've learned that giving all their words to what's wrong only makes the weight heavier. So they choose something softer, something lighter. They choose gratitude over grumbling, not to deny their pain, but to make space for peace. It took me years to learn this. I used to begin every conversation with complaints, the weather, my back, the news, until one day, a friend gently said, "I miss the way you used to talk about your garden." And I realized I'd let my voice become a list of sorrows. I'd stopped noticing the small good things. It's not easy. Our brains are wired to spot danger, to focus on the negative. It's called negativity bias. But the good news is we can retrain our attention. Each time you notice a kindness, a moment of beauty, a flicker of peace, and speak it aloud, you build a new habit. You shift your inner landscape. Try this next time you catch yourself ready to complain. Pause. Breathe, then ask, is this helping me feel better? Or just keeping me stuck? And if it's the latter, gently turn your gaze towards something else. The sound of wind in the trees, the scent of your lotion, a memory that makes you smile. You'll find that when you speak more about what lifts you, you begin to feel lighter too. It's not about being cheerful all the time. It's about choosing which seeds to water and letting joy bloom where it can. You rise slowly from your chair, pressing one hand gently to your lower back. The body moves a little differently these days, slower, softer, sometimes with resistance. But you still move. Not to chase youth, not to punish your body, but to thank it. For all it's carried. For all it still does. The happiest women over 70 I've met have one quiet truth in common. They move their bodies every single day. Not to achieve a number on a scale, but because they've come to see movement as care. As medicine, as a gift. You don't need to follow a fitness plan. You don't need special shoes or a gym membership. You just need a little space, a little breath, and a little willingness. Maybe it's a walk to the end of the driveway. Maybe it's 10 minutes of gentle stretching in the living room. Maybe it's dancing, yes, dancing while you make breakfast. Movement doesn't have to be vigorous to be powerful. Even light physical activity improves circulation, supports memory, reduces joint pain, and lifts the fog of a low mood. Just like water keeps a stream clear, movement keeps your body and spirit flowing. I like to think of my morning stretches as a conversation with my bones, a way of saying, I still trust you. I'm still here. Some days are harder than others, but I've never once regretted moving. Not once. And when you move regularly, your confidence deepens. You stand taller. You feel steadier. You're less afraid of what your body can't do because you're nurturing what it still can. So tomorrow, before the day rushes in, take 10 minutes to move in a way that feels loving. Lift your arms to the sky, roll your shoulders, wiggle your toes. Remind your body that it is still part of the dance of life and that every step, no matter how small, is worthy of celebration. You hear the ding of your phone, a voice note from a friend just a few seconds long. She's laughing about something her cat did. You smile, feeling your chest soften. It's not a long conversation, not a grand gesture, but it matters. It reminds you that you're not alone, and neither is she. The happiest women over 70 make space for connection every single day. They know that relationships, even quiet ones, are nourishment. A short phone call, a wave to a neighbor, a kind comment at the grocery store. These moments aren't small, they're soul stitches holding the heart together. Loneliness can creep in as we get older, especially when routines slow and circles shrink. But joyful women don't let isolation take root. They reach out, they stay open. They find ways to let others in even when life is quiet. It doesn't have to be social events or big gatherings. Presence is enough. A handwritten note, a shared pot of tea, a moment of listening without rushing. Because connection doesn't always come through volume, it comes through intention. I have a dear friend named Martha. Every morning we send each other a little voice message, a thought, a prayer, a memory. It takes less than 2 minutes, but it reminds us we're walking this season of life with someone. And when you make connection a daily habit, you begin to notice it everywhere. The smile from the postman, the warmth of a shared memory, the comfort of a familiar voice. It steadies you, it uplifts you, it keeps your world rich with belonging. So today, reach out. Text someone, call a friend, write a card, or simply look someone in the eyes and offer a true warm hello. Because when you open your heart to others, your life, no matter how quiet, feels deeply full. You sit down at your kitchen table, the light golden and soft through the window. Your plate is simple, maybe some warm soup, a slice of whole grain toast, fresh fruit on the side. You take a breath, and for once, you don't rush. You savor. Happy women over 70 treat their meals with quiet reverence. Not as a task to get through or a moment to multitask, but as a gentle ritual of nourishment. They eat with intention, not to follow a diet, but to show their body love. It's not about restriction, it's about awareness. You begin to notice how certain foods make you feel clear or foggy, energized or sluggish. You choose more of what supports you, more color, more real whole ingredients, more kindness on your plate. Our bodies change with age. Digestion slows, metabolism shifts, and bones and brains need a little more care. But instead of fearing food, joyful women use it as a quiet ally. They add a few more vegetables. They hydrate. They take time to chew, to taste, to pause. I used to eat standing up, washing dishes between bites, already thinking about the next task. But now I try to sit. I pour a small glass of water. I light a candle. I eat slowly. It feels less like fueling a machine and more like honoring a temple. And here's something lovely: when you begin to eat this way, not only does your digestion improve, but your spirit calms. You feel more grounded, more in tune with yourself, more cared for by you. So today, treat one meal like a love letter to your body. No shame, no rush, just presence. Choose something that feels gentle. And let your meal be a pause, a moment of stillness and self-respect in the rhythm of your day. You curl up in your favorite chair blanket over your knees, a soft instrumental playing in the background. There's a stillness in the room, and in that stillness, something glows inside you. Not loud, not dramatic, just a quiet peace. This is your spirit being nourished. The happiest women over 70 don't just care for their bodies, they care for the invisible part of themselves. The part that dreams, reflects praise. They feed their inner light daily, not because life is always easy, but because they've learned that inner peace must be tended to gently like a flame. Maybe you begin your day with a devotional or meditation. Maybe you write in a journal just a few honest sentences. Maybe you sit with your coffee and watch the clouds drift by, no agenda, just presence. The form doesn't matter. What matters is that it centers you and reminds you that your life still holds purpose. Spiritual nourishment is deeply personal. For some, it's faith. For others, it's creativity, music, nature, poetry. But what unites joyful women is their willingness to pause, to listen, and to let the deeper voice within them speak. On the hardest days, this practice is your shelter, and on the ordinary days, it becomes your anchor. It's what lets you respond instead of react, what brings softness to your face and lightness to your step. For me, it's 10 minutes of stillness each morning. I close my eyes. I breathe. I say thank you. Not always because I feel grateful, but because gratitude opens the door to grace. You don't have to do it perfectly, just make space for it. Feed your soul something gentle, a beautiful thought, a peaceful song, a moment of awe, because when your inner light shines even softly, it warms everything around you. You sit quietly at the end of the day, your hands resting gently in your lap. And somewhere in the back of your mind, a memory arises, something that still stings a little. A hurtful word, a regret, a person who didn't show up when you needed them most. You close your eyes, and softly, without needing to make it right or perfect, you whisper, I forgive you. I forgive me. Happy women over 70 don't carry every wound forward. They know the weight of unspoken pain, of grudges that linger like dust on old shelves. And they've learned, not all at once, but little by little, that forgiveness is not a gift to the person who hurt them. It's a gift to themselves. Forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean excusing. It means letting go of the tightrope of resentment that keeps your heart tense. It's setting down what no longer serves your peace. Because after all these years, your peace is sacred. Sometimes the hardest person to forgive is yourself. For what you didn't know then, for how you handled things, for the way you spoke to your body or stayed silent when you wished you'd spoken up. But even those wounds can soften when met with compassion. I used to carry a silent anger towards someone from my past. I thought it protected me, but really it just exhausted me. And the day I finally said, you no longer get to live in my thoughts, rent-free, was the day I felt 10 pounds lighter, not in my body, but in my soul. You don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Maybe tonight you say, I'm willing to forgive one breath at a time. Maybe you write it down and burn the paper. Maybe you speak it into the wind. However you do it, know this forgiveness doesn't erase your strength. It reveals it. Because when you release what weighs you down, you create space for light. And in that space, something else begins to bloom joy. You catch your reflection in the mirror, hair a little wild, socks mismatched, and you chuckle. Not because you look silly, but because something in you feels free enough to laugh. That kind of lightness doesn't come from youth. It comes from wisdom, from choosing joy on purpose. The happiest women over 70 don't wait for joy to show up. They invite it. They make room for laughter like they would an old friend, knowing that sometimes just one smile can shift the mood of a whole day. Laughter isn't frivolous. It's healing. It releases tension. It boosts your immune system. It tells your nervous system you are safe. And best of all, it's free, and it's always available. You just have to be willing to look for it. Maybe it's a favorite old comedy from your childhood. Maybe it's the sound of your grandchild mispronouncing a word. Maybe it's a story you've told 100 times, but it still makes you giggle. You don't have to be the life of the party to enjoy laughter. You just need to give it permission to visit. I keep a little journal of things that made me laugh. Some are silly, like the squirrel that tried to carry off a whole piece of toast. Others are memories, the time my best friend wore her blouse inside out to church and didn't notice. When I read them back, they lift me. They remind me not everything has to be serious. And laughter, like love, multiplies when shared. So don't be afraid to be a little playful. Make funny faces with a toddler, sing off key to your favorite song, dance while you fold laundry. Let your joy be visible, not for anyone else, but for you. Because when your days hold laughter, even quiet, gentle laughter, your spirit feels less burdened. And life, no matter how ordinary, begins to feel a little more magical again. The house grows quiet, the dishes are done. The lamp casts a warm golden glow and you settle into your evening rhythm. Maybe it's your journal. Maybe it's just a silent moment in bed, but before you close your eyes, you pause and think, what was beautiful about today? The happiest women over 70 end their day with gratitude. Not because everything was easy, not because the day was perfect, but because they choose to close the evening holding what was good, however small. A kind word from a neighbor, a soft breeze through the curtains, a cup of tea that tasted just right. These are the threads of quiet joy that, when noticed, become part of the fabric of your peace. Gratitude doesn't require a grand gesture, just a whisper of attention. Studies show it improves sleep, reduces anxiety, and retrains the brain to focus on what uplifts rather than what drains. And over time, these little reflections become a well you can return to, especially on the harder days. Some nights, I jot down 3 things I'm thankful for on a note card beside my bed. Other nights, I simply rest my hand on my chest and breathe, remembering one good thing. It's not about ignoring the hard parts, it's about not letting them take the whole story. And the beautiful thing is, the more you notice, the more you see. Gratitude expands your capacity for joy, for tenderness, for seeing yourself not as someone in decline, but as someone still deeply alive. So tonight before sleep takes you, ask yourself gently, what felt good today? Let that thought be the last thing you hold. Let it soften your breath, calm your heart, and cradle you into rest. Because the way we end our day becomes the way we greet the next one. And gratitude, like a lullaby, sings us into tomorrow with grace. So here you are, 12 gentle habits not written in stone, but offered like wildflowers for your choosing. None of them require perfection. None of them demand youth or performance. Each one simply says you are allowed to love your life right here, right now. Maybe what aging teaches best is this: that beauty is not in how you look, but in how you live. It's in how you treat your mornings like a quiet prayer, how you reach for laughter instead of worry, how you forgive, not because it's easy, but because you want to walk lighter. You've lived so many versions of yourself: the caretaker, the professional, the daughter, the mother, the friend. But now is a time to be your own companion, to ask gently what makes me feel whole, and to follow that with quiet courage. You don't have to change everything overnight. Maybe just choose one habit to carry into tomorrow. One small step toward tenderness, toward peace, toward the version of you that feels most alive. And as you continue this beautiful journey, remember, you are not alone. There are so many of us walking this path beside you, in soft robes with silver hair and open hearts. Thank you for sharing your time with me today. If this reflection brought you comfort or inspiration, please consider liking and subscribing, not out of pressure, but because this is a space where your presence is truly welcome. And before you go, I'd love to hear from you. Which habit spoke to you most? Or simply share your age and one thing that made you smile today. We're all still learning from one another. Until next time, breathe deeply, walk gently, and remember, it's never too late to feel beautiful, to feel bright, to feel home in your own skin. End of script. Have a beautiful day.